So season 4 patch notes are here, and we're going to be going and dive through them, specifically the Warzone side of things. It says Wednesday, March 29th, we get the battle pass, which is kind of always a standard thing for a new season. The battle pass, nothing new there. Performance, address various issues causing improper first-person animations. Not really sure what that's pertaining to. Customization, camos can now be equipped on the Beast Glove blueprint. For the Gladiator, great if you spent that $100. They're taking care of you. New no fear weapon decal no longer has white border while equipped. Equipping the Courage skin on the MCW assault rifle will no longer result in an error. Fix an input device exploit allowing unowned blueprints to be equipped. Weird. Jack Glassless optic is now unlocked as expected upon purchasing a relevant blueprint. Urzikstan Battle Royale, which has kind of mostly been neglected. This got announced yesterday on Twitter, so if you guys were out there, you already kind of expected this. Increase the player count in Battle Royale to 120, up from 100. Initially, this was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we had given when we went to COD Next. There's a lot of people in the comments, probably will still comment, say they only listen to creators. If they had listened to creators, we would have had this change back when the game launched. So clearly they take certain feedback and they take others. A lot of people will also be concerned that, oh, well, the servers were a mess before, it's gonna be a mess with 120. The reality is the servers were a mess regardless if it's 60 players, 120 players, or 200 players, and they actually aren't like relevant to each other. So they could have upped it to 120 at any point, and they said that this was clearly a gameplay decision on their end and had nothing to do with server stability. So hopefully this actually improves some of the pacing on some of the stuff. Obviously, they go into a huge breakdown of why they made the change. Map updates. Unlock bunkers now have an escape hatch as an alternate exit. New rewards have been added to various locations, which we know that's the sneakers, probably specialist bonus, probably a few other things as well. Hopefully, they got some little surprises in there. Gulag, we get the 4 different layouts, which we already kind of talked about in the blog. They showed some screenshots side by sides. So you kind of see what the layout changes were. For the most part, not huge, crazy changes, but there will be some different changes on how you play some of those Gulag if you've gotten accustomed to playing a certain way. Modes, returning, Urzikstan Battle Royale. Buyback Royale, this will be an LTM. You have to have at least 4,500 cash. As long as you have that on your person, you'll keep coming back until that Gulag timer is gone. And there's no Gulags in the mode. You just die. As long as you have 4,500, you come right back. Squad sizes will be specifically solos. I'm surprised on that part and a little bit annoyed because normally I know when it was the most popular, they had this in trios and quads. And then you got the option for solos. So why not just give more? But I guess they're experimenting. I don't know, a fan favorite mode, but you know, it's how it goes. So it'll be 120 players. Playlist update. So we got buyback solos expected. Ranked trios on Rebirth. That's a little bit disappointing in my opinion. I thought it should have been Urzikstan Resurgence back to back. People are already kind of getting burnt out on the mode, even though I think Resurgence is quite fun. Ranked can be fun. It's just a problem of back to back. And why not do a different map? Why not Vondel? Why not Fortune's Keep again? You know, obviously, you know, the other maps are kind of gone. Battle Royale, we get duos, trios, quads, and then solos, duos, trios, quads on map rotation. And we'll see kind of how the rotation is that. I'm not a big fan of having 3 maps in a rotation where you got to wait like a half an hour to get into the map you want, which for me is pretty much only Rebirth Island. General. So there's a new Warzone rewards, and this is going to be in your combat record area. You can go ahead and check it. And these are specifically for Warzone. So this one says loot supply crate, and then they have these various things. So you can get 4 different camos, it looks like. Warzone rewards, daily and weekly challenges. Players will be able to find a brand new way to earn camos and other exclusive cosmetics unique to Warzone. These are broken down into the economics where you spend stuff, contracts where you complete contracts, socials where you interact with other players, mode, complete tasks in different modes, Battle Royale, Plunder, Resurgence. So it'll be mode specific. And then Champions Quest is a Champions Quest active in your game. Then check out the challenges, shut down one or whatever the case is. Unlock requirements and progress can be viewed and tracked via the new menu that can be accessed in the challenges menu on any Warzone playlist. All rewards can be previewed so players can get a look at these and know whether they actually want to check them out. And that's good because then you can apply the camo and go, oh, is it animated? Is it still? Is this the one I want? This is the one I'm grinding. So that's always good. So all maps, we got Champions contract stealing is officially here. When a team on a Champions Quest contract is fully eliminated, the Champions Quest tablet will drop. The first team to interact with the tablet can now steal the contract and continue the quest. So I would imagine nukes will get a little bit harder because if you're not capable of getting 5 wins in a row, you might be just able to get in there and snipe that contract away from another team that has just died, third party, something like that. And you can end up with the nuke of yourself. There's probably special rewards just for stealing that as well. Urzikstan, all modes. We get the tac sprint boots. Infiltrating any of the accessible bunkers to obtain the tactical sprint boots perk will give you an increase to your base speed and an infinite tactical sprint improvement. So this is very similar to the gummy that we had in the get high mode or whatever it was in Resurgence, but without the unlimited fall damage. They still want you to run Mountaineer, so you will have that. Do not drop on death. So if you lose them, you're not gonna be able to come back and loot the people who killed you. Can be found in bunker one time. Correction, do not reduce fall damage. And that's kind of, they had to make an earlier clarification because I think when they made the blog initially, they copy and pasted the green gummy. Then they had hey, just a heads up, it's only the unlimited tac sprint, which it's kind of weird that they didn't give this by default. I would imagine they're trying to see how much people care about this. And if people are making an effort to actually obtain these boots, then they're going to go, you know what, maybe it's worth it to change game mechanics. So if you're a fan of unlimited tactical sprint, I like the lack of limitations in the game when it comes to movement. Specialist perk, this perk grants, oh yeah, obviously we know that. Now it's available at buy stations for 30,000. I know you can rack up cash, but 30,000 for a full team is quite a bit. But you could do it just busting out contracts. And if the bunkers get a little bit better. So the Bunker Buster, this is a special type of missile. This was available on Fortune's Keep. And we'll have that available now on Urzikstan. Utility box that made its way. That's the one with the ammo and the armor. Loot hot zones, designated points of interest on the map, may now be identified as loot hot zones. These do not appear on the TAC map. Rather, they must be discovered. That's actually kind of weird. How does it make it a hot zone? If it's, you know, it's just, I don't know. That's kind of a misnomer if they're going to do it that way. If people don't actually know where it is, how do people know to land there to make the hot drop a hot drop, you know? Runaway train public event. And this is 10% chance of ending in a runaway train public event. So that's not a ton of percent. Maybe they'll adjust that as time goes on. If you guys played the sleigh ride mode that we had in Resurgence back during the holidays, basically the zone followed the train. So I think around zone 5 or 6, you'll know, oh, it's going to follow the train, and then it'll just stay around the train. So it's best bet to get on the train because that ends up being a solid power position. It has a buy station, the UAV tower. There's a lot of utility with that. And then we get this new Polaris vehicle. Cool. Hopefully it handles well. Usually the sponsored ones that they get paid to put into the game usually are pretty good, as we saw with the truck. So adjusted all maps and modes, ground loot, weapons. No weapon went untuned in this season's ground loot, thankfully. That is like such one of the biggest changes that we experienced back in Warzone 1 that actually made the gameplay feel different every time you landed, because this season, this floor loot's a certain way. Next season, it's a different way. Next season, it's a different way. So you kind of get like a relearning process every time of what is the best floor loot. Even though you're going out of your way to get the loadout as quick as possible, kind of goes there. So the gas mask now has manual, automatic, and semi-automatic settings. A new keybind has been added to allow for manual behavior. This will be kind of interesting. I don't know why I don't just get it where if you own a gas mask, it doesn't take up any inventory. You go into the gas, it just slides itself on without a manual or any of those weird things. But maybe someday, maybe in Warzone 4, 3.5 or whatever they want to call it when Black Ops 6 drops. Buy station improvements. Purchased weapons will now drop behind the player, so you don't have to. Oh, that's actually a pretty good change. It kind of works that way. So Urzikstan Battle Royale. Initial circle. The delay time before the initial circle begins to shrink has been increased to 2 minutes, up from 1. All right, that's good, and that to account for more players, more places to land. Redeployment weapons. Players will now respawn from the Gulag with updated primary and secondary weapons. Gulag loadouts. Updated some primary and secondary Gulag loadout weapons. Adjusted weapon loadouts in the locked and loaded and climb and punishment Gulag events. C4 has been removed from the Gulag. W. You just throw it over, get the hit mark, it's done. Loot updates. Loot has received general balance pass. Many items have had their rarity adjusted, making some items more common in the ground loot, while other items are exclusively rare in chests. Overall acquisition rate of cash via the ground loot and supply boxes has been reduced by 50%. The density of ground loot has been reduced by 15%. That doesn't sound like that's good things. We'll see how that plays. Supply boxes. Overall frequency increased by 20%. Frequency of basic rarity has been reduced by 9%. Legendary increased by 5%. And then reusable rarity has been increased by 4%. Gulag. Very low chance general loot. Redeploy pack doesn't spawn in general loot. Low chance for most wanted. So they're cutting down on some of the respawns by adding more players, which I think will end up making it feel the same, sadly, right? But we'll see how it plays out. Following legendary items are now exclusively to certain locations. Durable gas mask. It has to be in a bunker chest or intel contract. Redeploy pack. We got to do that in a black site or a most wanted. Foresight. Bunker chest. That's super powerful. And then specialist perk will only be buy stations, so not lootable and not inside any of the bunkers. That's an interesting one. Buy station inventory update. So team revive, you got that armor. They just modified the pricing on a bunch of stuff, which you'll just kind of see how that works in game. And then specialists will be there, and there'll only be one available. So even if you do stack up cash, you'll have to bounce to different multiple buy stations. Late game circles may now end on a wider variety of locations than before. This is pretty annoying. I don't know why this isn't for the same game, but for Resurgence specifically, that's cool. That's the main mode I play in map. Besides that, not too much. Then we get this submachine gun, which we'll see kind of how good that is. We're going to level it up, test it on stream today. If you want to check that out, link near the top of the description. Then we got the Kar98k, which supposedly only has about a 70-meter range for one-shot headshot. And then we'll see what's the maximum range once you get it max fully kitted with a barrel, a muzzle, the ammunition type. How far can you push that up to about 100 meters, hopefully? And then it can at least feel good. We'll just feel if it's slow, because I believe this is more of a Vanguard version than it was the MW 2019 version. And we get some new aftermarket part. We're going to get one per week pretty much. We'll see if any of those are worthwhile. Then we do get some weapon adjustments. So BP50 adjustments, decrease movement, decrease sprint. All right, tactical sprint. A lot of movement changes there. Slowed it down quite a bit. It was a very fast gun, but nothing that changes the damage. So it still kills as fast as it did. Bow was a trash. Near damage increased the range. We got mid damage, increased range, and then lower arm and hand modifiers increased. This shouldn't be a significant difference, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to make it like, ooh, let's try the bow. It's not good. Weapon, Holger 556. They actually modified it so it does a little more consistent damage. They did buff this one recently on the recoil, but it still made it, I think, the recoil weirder. It didn't actually solve, like, improve it. This modifier could, maybe not. Maybe it's like a one shot less to kill if you hit a leg, whereas before you could hit, I don't know. We'll have to see how the damage profile works out. I don't think this is going to matter. SVA, they actually decreased the damage in the mid range, and the modifier, they nerfed it a little bit. So we'll see how that goes, because I think that was like in contention for a meta. Could impact the meta on that side of it, especially for the lazy no recoil. You just spam the trigger and it just shoots straight. There we go. MCW, min damage increased to 22. We'll have to plug that one in. I've been waiting for an MCW to get buffed. They buffed the close range. It really wasn't like earth shattering or anything like that. It still killed kind of close, like bad at range. But the min damage, what's interesting about this is a lot of times this doesn't factor in the headshot multiplier. So now maybe if you get a headshot, you can lower the TTK. And if this is hovering around 1,000, it could definitely be meta, but we'll have to test and see how that works out. MTZ 556, max damage range increased, and multiplier, they buffed it a little bit. Pretty good gun. I just wish it had a 60 round mag. Cast-Off 762, looks like it got a buff, and a buff. It's pretty solid. 40 round mag. One of my favorite guns in all of Modern Warfare 2, and I'd love to use it again, but we'll see how it goes. Chimera was a lot of fun when it was okay. It gets a slight buff. Nice. Hemlock. We get a slight buff to the Hemlock, both close and long range, and the arm modifier. So they basically made the arm from a limb, like a leg, up to like a chest shot. And that's kind of where they changed the profile to more match that. And that's what we're seeing here with this. So the leg modifiers 1, and then now the shoulder arm will be the chest essentially, which is a little bit more forgiving. AMR, so increase the damage, which is good. I think they were a little too heavy-handed on the last time they nerfed it to the ground. Hopefully this is back in the mix. Max damage is the close range damage, so this could definitely impact it. I don't remember what the number was before offhand, but that's good they got that fix. This one also gets a buff. Number goes up to 28, 24. This one is basically a whole rework. Decrease recoil. This is W. This gun, it was very close to being meta. The range kind of sucked at 7 meters. But now up to 10, that can make it a little bit more viable. You got to put on a barrel to put on a muzzle. We could probably push that range out. And this could definitely be a viable one because the TTK was good before, but the range was just so abysmal. And then with the buff on top of that, this could be very good. Very good. Rival 9. And it didn't get. All right. The Headhunter Carbine Conversion Kit. Fire rate gets juiced by 200 RPM, which is good. Bullet velocity juiced, but we want a faster TTK. This rate of fire could actually do that. It could increase the TTK quite a bit, or improve the TTK, not increase it. Striker 9, minimum damage decrease, so they actually nerfed the meta gun. But luckily we've had some replacements, right? So something shift up. I'm not really a fan of nerfing anything at the moment. I want just more buffs, so that we can have more guns to enjoy within the meta, so that everything's brought up to kind of where the Striker 9 was. WSP 9, we get a slight nerf just to the modifier. Not a huge deal. They nerfed the range a bit, but the range on this is ridiculous. Still probably a very solid option. Okay, LSW, headshot multiplier reduced, and then they decrease the bullet velocity. So that could be enough. This thing still shoots very straight. Will probably still be a big contender for the long range meta. Holger 26, they got a slight buff. XRK, neck modifier down from 2. Oh, that is, you gotta hit headshots, no neck shots. All right, so ranked play battle royale. Our team is targeting release of a ranked battle royale before the end of the year. We are not ready to commit to specific timing. Oh. We are using the months ahead to fine-tune design and rank system to reflect and complement changes since they made the core Battle Royale experience. That's good. Ongoing World Series of program. The program ensures that players continue to have success at high stakes. Nice. All right, so we'll have that, but ranked is going to be coming back to Resurgence, which we kind of already talked about. They do have plans to do the other way, and they'll kind of work that part out. They've rechanged that. Match stats, quality of life. New statistic panel in the multiplayer has been adapted, and that's the one where you can see your stats in game. How many kills, how much damage, but even further detailed. If you know your accuracy, your headshot percentage, you can see it live in the match. Third person parachute quality of life added a new setting that allows player to see the operator parachuting from third person perspective. Interesting. Squad widget info quality of life. I guess you can do this, but that you could hold the L2 before or L1 or whatever, depending on how your bindings are. Icons in the armor plates, gas masks, kill streaks will now appear under squad members' health bar. So they brought that quality of life back. Contract timer quality of life. Contract widget will now display a visual timer bar indicating the remaining time on the contract. Quite a bit of bug fixes. So pretty straightforward. Not earth-shattering season 4 like we had last year. That was like the one that saved the game. The game's in a relatively good spot, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be leveling, testing online. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.